The Jet lands in dominating fashion at the Valley. Superman beats Mr. Freeze at the Track of Champions. We catch up with a driver having one heck of a season out at Can-Am. I don't care what Luke Bryan says, rain ain't a good thing. Nevertheless, we've got you covered. Race Pro Weekly starts now. Hello and welcome to Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. At the Lebanon Valley Speedway, it's turned into a three-driver race for the championship crown between Brett Hearn, Kenny Tremont, and Keith Flack. Let's head to the Valley to see which driver would come out on top in our opening highlight, brought to you by Landho Maintenance. We'll start you off with some heat race action on the Valley of Speed as Andy Bacchetti and Brett Hearn putting on a battle for the number 2 spot. Hip check style, Bacchetti going to give Hearn, and then they go 3 wide off the corner, and Brett Hearn just says, see you later, as he would go on to win that heat race. To the feature event now, you see Bacchetti not wasting any time going to 3 wide action as he's there with Rob Pitcher and Eddie Marshall as Olden Dwyer takes the early lead. Keith Flack gets shuffled a few positions back as they make their way around to click off lap number 1 in this 30-lap feature event. Brett Hearn starting to make his way up on the inside early and often, already up to Andy Bacchetti. Heat power on the inside lane, and the Jet was on the move as the 17 of Elmo Reckner gets caught up on the top side into the wall a little bit off of the corner. And as I mentioned, the Jet already just a couple of positions out of the top 5, just a few laps into this, as he would go underneath the 11A of Kyle Armstrong to take the position down the back straightaway. Hearn already up into the top 5. Kenny Tremont trying to follow to cut the deficit a little bit as he tries to get by Chan Jesio for position. Meanwhile, Brian Berger, last week's winner, pushing past Mike King, trying to make a run following Andy Bacchetti up through the field. Hearn continued his challenge towards the front as he would get by the 42 of Matt Papello for the number 2 spot, slide up in front of him, and it wouldn't be long till he'd take a shot at the 88 junior of Olden Dwyer through turn number 1 and 2. He'd get him through turn number 3 and 4 at the halfway point, and the only way to describe it, well, he gone. Brett Hearn up to the lead, Andy Bacchetti trying to follow as he's up into the top 5, and here comes the Ravina Rocket blasting off on the top side as he'll get by Brian Berger for position down the backstretch. Kenny Tremont trying to make up more positions. He'd worked to the outside of John Rochelle in that number 115 machine. But Andy Bacchetti now mounting a challenge, trying to get into the top 3 in this one as he would dive underneath Matt Papello and take that spot away. Keith Flack going to follow right behind him as well up through turn number 3 and 4 as we move closer to the end of the event. Hearn had taken the white flag and seemed to have this one gone from the rest of the field, but the caution will come out with 1 lap to go as Matt Papello hits the wall hard in 3 and 4. Off the restart, Brett Hearn will get away from the field. Keep an eye on Andy Bacchetti looking to make a last-second challenge to get into the top 3. He grabbed that position, but they weren't catching the Jet, who picks up win number 5 at the Valley. Eddie Marshall would finish in 2nd, Andy Bacchetti 3rd, Kyle Armstrong 4th, and the Ravina Rocket, Keith Flack, would round out the top 5. Last week at the Weedsport Speedway, it was the Hall of Fame 100 for the Super Dirt Car Series, which played to an exciting finish. Let's head out to Central New York right now. The 4-wide salute to the fans for the Beast of the Northeast, as Shane Andrews says, as we would get started in this one with Eric Rudolph taking the early race lead on the inside lane. He'd be challenged right away by Mr. Freeze as Stuart Friesen looking to make some moves up on the top side off of turn number 2. Down the back stretch, they would ride for the first time. Jimmy Phelps and Gary Tompkins right there as well. 3 wide, Matt Shepard, Mike Mahaney, and the 20 of Brett Hearn up off at turn number 4 as the Jersey Jet looking to bounce back up on the outside lane as he's trying to prove that he ain't no Superman on the inside. Back to the race for the lead, however, Eric Rudolph holding strong. Here's Gary Tompkins with a bid underneath the 44 machine. Jimmy Phelps way up on the top side looking to make something happen with Billy Decker in there as well as a good 4-car battle for spot number 3. Phelps still way up on the top side. Shepard trying to make a move to the inside of him as well as Gary Tompkins continued to put the moves on the 44 as Stuart Friesen right in front of him as they continue to lock down on the inside lane. They would continue to race their way up through the corner as Jimmy Phelps that time gets caught a little bit too high. Meanwhile, battle for the number 2 spot as Gary Tompkins has found something to try to get around the 44 as Stuart Friesen up off of turn number 2 as they work their way down the backstretch. Friesen and then Hallmark car really starting to pedal to the inside lane, but Tompkins off of turn number 4 would take the spot away with just over 20 laps remaining. Tompkins really starting to set up on Eric Rudolph now. 2 laps remaining in this feature event as Rudolph keeping it strong on the inside. Here's Tompkins with a bit up on the top off of turn number 2, but it would be Rudolph holding strong as they come through turn number 3 and 4 and now to the white flag. 1 lap to go in this one as they work their way up through turn number 2. Tompkins really pedaling down the backstretch. He would nose out ahead in front. Rudolph would battle back underneath them. They come to the checkered flag. Tompkins high, Rudolph low at the line. Gary Tompkins gonna pick up the win. What an event for the Super Dirt Car Series as Tompkins picks up a big win. Eric Rudolph would finish in second. Third will be Stuart Friesen. Fourth, Matt Shepard. And the Doctor, Danny Johnson, would round out the top 5. It's now time for this week's Kaiser Aluminum Wheels fan poll question. With 1 race left, a 50-lap shootout at Fonda, who is going to take home the title between Jeremy Wilder, Bobby Varon, and Ronnie Johnson? We realized this question was there last week, but our producer, he kind of failed to put it up on the Facebook page. So we'll give it to you again this week. Log on to facebook.com/RaceProWeekly to cast your answer. Coming up on Race Pro Weekly, we head to Weedsport for another Sportsman shootout event, and we head to the Track of Champions where the tribute race for Jack Johnson was on hand. Reputable, reliable, results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. The Jumpin' Jack 60 is part of the ROC series, and of course Ronnie Johnson, one of the fan favorites in this one, is Jeff Rockefeller and Craig Hansen would lead the field of the green. In the 60-lap race, Rockefeller going to rocket to the front right away. Stuart Friesen wasting no time jumping up into the number 2 spot, getting by Craig Hansen into turn number 3 and 4. Jesse Mueller on the move, Ronnie Johnson as well, as along with Super Matt Shepard working his way up into the top 5 in the early going of this feature event as the cars looking to work their way up. Trouble would be an issue in this one for Jeff Rockefeller as he will pull it behind the wall and hand the lead over to Stuart Friesen as the 816 going to make the hard left-hand turn. And off of the restart, Friesen would take control. Here's Matt Shepard working into the number 3 spot, trying to keep it up on the top side. Wouldn't take long for Shepard to get by Craig Hansen for the number 2 spot off at turn number 4, and he set his sights on race leader Stuart Friesen. Jimmy Horton working his way up, trying to get by Josh Hillenforth as Jeff Trombley has trouble on the 21J machine, as that would bring out the caution as he gets up on the top side, and then the battle would be on as Matt Shepard working his way closer to Stuart Friesen, as Ronnie Johnson would work his way underneath the 6H machine and into the number 3 spot, as now Friesen having trouble getting by Kenny Sparks. This would draw in the 9S machine a little bit more down the backstretch as the caution would come out once again and set up another restart. Off the restart, Friesen would take control of this one on the outside lane as Shepard continuing to try to work him over top side and low side in this one, but just couldn't get by the Hallmark International number 1 machine underneath that Cyclone chassis as they look for their first win without one of the manufacturers behind the wheel. Shepard would start to mount in the challenge even more on Friesen off at turn number 4, as this time Shepard would push up to the top side. Almost looked like he had enough. Almost had him in turn number 2 that time, but shutting the door was Stuart Friesen. But as that happened, Friesen continuing to lead this one. We move to the closing stages. Jimmy Horton starting to reel in behind him as well, as making it a 3-car battle when the caution comes out for Bobby Varon. Friesen switches lanes on the restart, goes to the inside as Matt Shepard works it up on the top side. Friesen blocks. Holy crossover, Batman, as he goes underneath them and gives him a little how do you do on the way by. And Matt Shepard would be your new race leader up into turn number 1 and 2 with Friesen right there in tow, trying to take control of it off of the corner. But you weren't catching him as Super Mac goes to victory lane in the Jack Johnson 60. Stuart Friesen would finish in 2nd, Jimmy Horton 3rd, Ronnie Johnson 4th, and Vic Coffey, the captain, would round out the top 5. At the Lebanon Valley Speedway in the Pro Stock Division, Rob Yetman and Jay Corbin have put together some great runs so far on the season. Could one of them find their way to victory lane once again? A great rendition of the national anthem by Chelsea Krieger as we go pro stock action at the Valley of Speed. The 118 of Jeff Kelmel going to lead him up into turn number 1 and 2, looking for the race lead. Here's Rich Crane and Scott Govertson looking to make it 3 wide, and Crane going to come up with the win as the 117 shuffles back a few spots. They work their way up through turn number 1 and 2 as Rob Yetman starting to work his way up through the field as the point leader in this division. Him and Kelmel will come together a little bit coming off at turn number 4 as Yetman looks to keep it steady. Dennis O'Connor right there as well, but on their way up through the field, here comes the 8 of Jay Corbin working his way underneath the 315 of John Ruthier as he looked for the number 3 spot very early in this one as Rich Crane continued to lead this with Victor Hopkins right there in tow. It wouldn't be long until the 8 machine of Jay Corbin would work his way on the inside and take the number 3 spot away as they work their way down the backstretch. Here's Ruthier trying to get by Chuck Townsley for the number 4 spot. He would grab that as now Corbin goes to work on the 243 off of turn number 2 to try to take that runner-up position. Caution will come out for the 178 of Stephen LaRochelle and the 60 of Joe LaFlamme, and that would set the field back up in single file formation as Crane looking for his first win here of the 2016 season. Crane will bring it up through turn number 1 and 2 as Scott Govertson gets into the wall a little bit going down the back straightaway. He'd lose a few more positions. Meanwhile, battle for the runner-up spot off at turn number 4 as Corbin would take that number 2 spot away and now set his sights on the race leader, Rich Crane. Chuck Townsley looking to file by the 243 machine down the back straightaway. Corbin going to work his way up through turn number 1 and 2 as he's going to rise up the racetrack, and he would stay even with the 315 of Crane and pull it. You guessed it, the electric slide job off of turn number 4, and he would be your new race leader here with just a couple to go. Rob Yetman working his way up, trying to get by John Ruthier as Chuck Townsley and Rich Crane come together in turn number 2. Crane goes around, Townsley on the outside wall, and that would set up a shootout at the end of this one as Rob Yetman into the thick of things, but it was all Jay Corbin up at the front of this one as he picks up his 5th win of 2016 in that number 8 machine. Victor Hopkins would finish in 2nd, Rob Yetman 3rd, Nick Hilt 4th, and John Ruthier would round out the top 5. This season at the Weedsport Speedway, the Sportsman Shootout Series has been on the schedule for much of the 2016 season. They were also on hand as the companion event for the Dirt Car Hall of Fame 100. Sportsman feature event will get started as Adam Hilton and Connor Cleveland lead the field to the green in the Sportsman Shootout Series event as Connor Cleveland looking to go to the front off of turn number 2, and he would take that race lead away as they work their way down the back straightaway for the first time. Rocco Leone and Matt Guerreri going to go side by side through the corner as Rocco Leone going to Balboa it through the corner as he would take another spot away. Cars continuing to work their way up through the field as Guerreri going to feel pressure now from the 1J of Rocky Warner up on the top side as the Flying Squirrel looking to make something happen off at turn number 4. Will Shields going to dive into that number 3 spot as he's going to feel pressure from the Squirrel now as they continue to work their way through the corner with Connor Cleveland as your race leader over Adam Hilton. Cleveland continuing to work that inside lane strong as another car on the move. The Page Trucking car number 1 of Dave Marcacilli continuing to work it up on the top side as he would try to battle with the 12G of Guerreri as now up in front of him. Warner all over the back bumper of Will Shields as he'll dive to the inside lane looking for the number 3 spot off at turn number 4. He won't waste any time as he's going to get squirrely and take that spot away. Meanwhile, Hilton trying the top side as he deals with Rocky Warner now down the back straightaway, but Connor Cleveland still holding on to that number 1 spot as they come through the corner. Cleveland boxes it down on the inside. Warner gets into him a little bit. Cleveland makes contact with the inside jersey barrier, which puts the one of Adam Hilton up to the front of the field. Hilton, your new race leader. Warner follows into the number 2 spot, and now the 09 of Cleveland under fire from Dave Marcachilli as they work their way through turn number 3 and 4. It wouldn't be long till Marcachilli would take that spot away and move into spot number 3. Adam Hilton is at the front, but he's got 2 of the best in Sportsman competition right behind him. Now as Rocky Warner and Dave Marcachilli continue to run this battle of ones up through turn number 1 and 2. Hilton continuing to push up the middle as Warner has some lap traffic issues right in front as he was blocked with his lane. That allows Marcachilli to try to slide by for the number 2 spot off of turn number 4. He'll take that position away as Adam Hilton continuing to hold on to the race lead as he continues to put it down on the inside as far as he can up through the corner. Marcachilli really starting to push on him now as they come towards the end of this one, but there was no stopping Adam Hilton as he picks up the win in the Sportsman shootout event. Marcachilli would finish in second, Rocky Warner third, Connor Cleveland would have to settle for fourth, and Ronnie Davis would finish in the top 5. When we come back on RPW, we're going to show you some street stock action at both the High Banks and the Track of Champions, and we'll show you some great pro stock action from the Jack Johnson Tribute Night as well.
If you're like me, your to-do list never ends. But with just one phone call, I protect my home, family, pets, and yard all year round. With Northeast Pest Control's Premier Home Protection Program, I don't have to worry about bugs and pests, and I don't have to worry about harsh chemicals either. Now, how about that want to-do list? Thanks, Northeast Pest Control.
Ants, termites, mice, or bees, call today for your free estimate.
With Northeast Pest Control, we guarantee you'll live pest-free.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For a championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Mellonville.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Pro stock action from the Jumpin' Jack Tribute Night at the Fonda Speedway as Cousin Luke Horning going to take the early race lead. Rob Yetman would follow him in the number 2 spot. Chucky Dumbluski sitting in third as he would feel some pressure going down the back straightaway, but then Dumbluski would have trouble as he would be an early retiree from this 20-lap feature event. Off the restart, it was still Cousin Luke as Nick Stone and Kenny Gates looking to work their way up through the field with Jim Normoyle Jr. right there as well. Meanwhile, off the corner, Kenny Gates and Nick Stone continuing to push through as other cars looking to work their way up, including a 322 of Jay Casey. Up at the front, though, Pete Broderson has caught the top 2 as he goes to size up the 7 of Rob Yetman going down the back straightaway. Gates now going to work on Normoyle for the number 4 spot, racing his way through turn number 3 and 4. He'll get that with the Manimal right behind him lurking, trying to take that number 5 spot away. He'll get by Normoyle as well down the back straightaway. Rob Yetman holding on to that number 2 spot as Cousin Luke continuing to get away at the front, but here is the 53 of Pete Broderson trying to close in off the corner. The battle of the 2 Caseys working their way up through the field as Racing Jason fighting to the inside lane trying to take control. Back to the battle for the number 3 spot though. Pete Broderson, Kenny Gates, and Nick Stone all fighting for position as Jim Normoyle Sr. has trouble. He will pull it into the pit area. Off the restart, little beating and banging going down the front straightaway between Rob Yetman and Pete Broderson, and that brings them 3 wide going up into turn number 1 for the number 3 spot as Racing Jason Casey still trying to race with Papa J right in front of him. But back to the battle for the front. The top 5 was continuing to size up, and take a look at this battle for third. Nick Stone trying to dive underneath Pete Broderson through turn number 4. He would get him that time off of the corner as they race to Joey Chris's flags. Coming back down the inside lane is the 35 of Kenny Gates as they bring it through the corner. Horning going to easily win this feature event, but the battle for second raged on with Robbie Ettman picking up the number 2 spot. Coming home in third in this one would be Nick Stone, Kenny Gates fourth, and Pete Broderson would round out the top 5. Some pure stock action up at the Valley of Speed, one of the most entertaining classes of the night here in Pure Stock 3. As we get started with Dan Cody as your race leader, a little bit of trouble. Dom Denyu goes up into the wall and hits hard in turn number 2, and that is going to end his night. A tough break for the young gun in that 145 machine. Off the restart, it would be Jay Casey with the race lead up off of turn number 2. Things get a little dicey down the backstretch as Al Relier working on Dan Cody for the number 3 spot. He would take that away coming down the front straightaway in this 10-lap feature event. Jason Meltz looking to work his way under the 13 of Dan Cody on the inside of the back straightaway as he would try to take the positioning into the west end. As they come off of the corner, here comes the 093 of Jay Casey having a little bit of trouble. He would spin, and that would give the lead to the 5X of Jeff Meltz. And this battle behind him, though, still going crazy as now Zach Sayerline running side by side with the 51 of Jason Meltz down the back straightaway with Jeff Krutzinger looking to get involved up on the top side. They work their way down the front stretch now as it would be Jason Meltz picking up on that number 3 position as they work their way down the back straightaway. Jeff Krutzinger up on the top, really trying to make something happen as he would try to push ahead of Sayerline through the corner. But meanwhile, Krutzinger goes up the banking. That allows Ray Hall and Gary O'Brien to get by off of turn number 2. The battle for the lead, though, really starting to heat up as Al Relier with a shot to get by the 5X of Meltz coming to the flag stand. Here, as Dan Martin said, his eyes were as wide as saucers on that 14 machine as they bring him off of turn number 4 for the final time. Relier with one last shot at him, but he's not going to get it as it's going to go to Jeff Meltz Sr. Al Relier would have to finish in second, Gary O'Brien third, Jason Meltz fourth, and Larry Perez would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Pure Stock 1 will go to the Sherman tank, Phil Sherman. Big Ed Hatch with the win in Pure Stock number 2, and the 4-cylinder single cam to Jim Williams. Back to the Fonda Speedway we go with some street stock action on the card as Hunter Sanchez would lead the field to the green as they work their way up through turn number 1 and 2 for their 15-lap feature event. Bill Yeager going to move into the number 2 spot. Johnny Young going to get some pressure from Steve Young, not the 49ers cornerback. I know what you're thinking. As the 00 of Josh Coonrad working it up on the outside lane, but Young going to come right back to him. Right underneath, meanwhile, Yeager going to slide up in front of the 14 of Johnny Young through the corner. He's going to go high, wide, and handsome as they drive by the Cow Palace. Yeager now going to give a look-see underneath the 23 of Hunter Sanchez as he'll keep it stuck through turn number 3 and 4 that time. Things still will get single file off the corner. Here's Rob Van Arnhem looking to make something happen down to the inside. He'll get by Steve Young for position as Sanchez leads the train of the top 4 down the front straightaway. Yeager with another shot as the caution will come out for Johnny Young, who was stopped up in turn number 3. Off the restart, Sanchez looking to take control, but here's Josh Coonrad mounting his challenge up on the outside lane in that 00 machine, trying to work it up to the top. He'd have it down the back straightaway. New race leader, that would be the 00. Yeager still on the back bumper of the 23 machine of Sanchez as they go up into turn number 1 and 2. As Yeager looks to take control, he would open up the door a little bit more for the 71 of Van Arnhem, come back down on him as they make contact, and that sends Steve Young up into the wall after making hard contact. That unfortunately would end his night in the 14. Coonrad will continue to lead this one off the restart. Rob Van Arnhem holding on to the number 2 spot as Hunter Sanchez right there as well, as it was a spirited battle for the race lead. But when they work their way up through turn number 1 and 2, something goes amiss on the 00 machine as a tire goes down, and that's going to allow the 71 of Van Arnhem to get by along with Haslam and Sanchez. So the caution will come out as Coonrad would make it back out. Hey, a Nick Squire sighting. Don't see that very often. Anyway, green flag back out onto the speedway now. The 71 going to take control. Haslam up to the number 2 spot as Hunter Sanchez gets shuffled back a little bit as Coonrad gets by him as well, coming down up into turn number 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Coonrad trying to pedal his way back to the lead as there was a $100 bounty added to this feature event, and that would go to Rob Van Arnhem as he picks up the win last Wednesday night. Cliff Haslam would finish in second, Josh Coonrad third, Jim Gronke with a good run coming home in fourth, and Hunter Sanchez would round out the top 5. When we return on Race Pro Weekly, We'll catch up with Billy Dunn on how his season has gone and give out our NISCA Performer of the Week.
Out here, seconds mean everything. That's why, in here, we work so hard to shave them. When a second matters, science matters. Mobil 1, energy lives here.
Where is it that going green is going strong? Where trees are planted so emissions can be cut down. Where clean ethanol blend fuels race cars and waste oil never goes to waste. Where is it that the sun comes up and we put it to work, and the passionate fans are just as passionate about helping out? Where? Nowhere but NASCAR. Learn what small steps you can take to make a big difference at NASCAR.com/green.
If you are a tracker series that would like to be highlighted on Race Pro Weekly, email us at show@raceproweekly.com. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. So far this season, Billy Dunn has done a phenomenal job picking up multiple feature event wins and dominating out at the Can-Am Speedway. When he rode into the Fonda Speedway last week, our crews caught up with him on how his season's been going. Billy, you've been having a heck of a year so far. 10 wins on the season, 3 coming at Mohawk, 7 at Can-Am. You got to be excited about how it's going.
Yeah, we've had a good year so far. Excited to get our big block out for a little bit here. We haven't raced it a whole lot this summer, but it's been a long time since I've been here, so pretty excited for tonight.
Racing this in honor of Jack Johnson has got to mean a lot to you. I know for a lot of guys, it's who everybody looked up to.
Absolutely, he's one of the few guys as a kid I grew up watching race and idolizing him. Bob McCready, the Johnsons, and I never really got a chance to race with Jack much, but it's pretty cool to have a race for him.
Now switching gears back to Can-Am that we've had a lot on our show this year, watching you dice up through the field pretty much has got to be a lot of fun. I mean, it seems like you're racing well with those guys as well.
Yeah, that's our home track. I grew up there, got a lot of laps there, a lot of big block laps there, and the car I drive up there is just handling really well right now, and got a pretty good package.
Now I know coming into the season it had to be a big deal to see the 358s back at Can-Am.
Yeah, like I said, it's my home track, and I want to see it succeed, and it was great to get back there racing again on Saturday night. It's been a long time since I've raced at home on a Saturday night, so it's been a lot of fun.
What are your plans in the season going forward?
Right now, just Mohawk with the Ladderster car, finish up the year there. Can-Am with the RLM Motorsports car, and hit and miss with a big block and get ready for Dirt Week.
Now you say you haven't run the big block car so far. Is this going to be difficult to see how it goes when you first get out there tonight?
It's just more than anything, just learn the track. I haven't, we raced here with an IMCA car 14 years ago, and the last time I was here, so a little bit unfamiliar ground, but I think we'll try to figure it out quick.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week, and with his last lap pass on Eric Rudolph at Weedsport, it's going to Gary Tompkins. Gary is now eligible for the Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.